Thank you for dialing in. Thank you for taking the time to come along on the call tonight. I very much appreciate it. Today is this is our last call for 2016, and it's great to have you guys having dialed in. It's much appreciated. And so what we're going to do is, as we always do, is kick off with a little bit of recognition. Now, I'm not quite sure what has happened to my slides. I had typed all of this in, and then that's why I was late coming on, because for some reason my recognition slides have disappeared, which happened to me, I think, a couple of months ago as well. So I'm clearly not saving as I go, which I should be. But anyway, so please bear with me. So I'm going to have to read them through to you, but it will, I'm sure you'll appreciate it nonetheless, hearing it. Unfortunately, I'm sorry you can't see it. So looking at the teams, looking across the team in third place across the whole of our whole kind of organisation, for want of a word, in the month of November was Team Penman. So that's Anne-Marie's team. Well done, Anne-Marie. 8,458. In second place, with sales of 4,951 is Team Peace. So well done, Verona. Verona's in the call. So well done to you and your team, Verona. And then Susan's team came next with 3,163. So well done to you guys too. So congratulations, Susan's on the call as well, and also from all of Team Nichols on the call. Looking at the leaders, who did well in November in the leaders? Well, we had a fantastic effort, top of the pile, and getting your name in lights in the worldwide newsletter was Verona. Well done, Verona, for 3,162, which is a fantastic. Obviously, that tips you over into the 31% as well, which is fabulous. Susan was in next with 1,749. Fiona Joseph was next with 1,631, and Pauline was after that was 1,455. So as is always the case, it's brilliant to see the leaders being consistent as well, and seeing you guys striving to making sure you hit that 1,000 PV, because as we all know, that kind of gets you from the 25% to the 28%. So well done, you guys. Next, we have looking at the consultants in the team, and top of the pile, and I have to say a fantastic effort in the month of November, is Catherine Bishop, 2,276. So a big woo to Catherine, well done, and also to Pauline for the not Pauline, sorry, Verona for the support that Verona gives Catherine. So well done to you guys. In second place is Rachel Denham. Well done, Rachel, 1,171. Well done to Pam, who's also on the call. Congratulations, Pam. You were third in the team, 1,111, all the ones. Very good. Next, Claire Allen with 906. And then next we had Angela Volpe in my own team for 757. So well done to you guys. So delighted to see your name in lights, and well done for the month of November. So that's the kind of covering the recognition side of things. I had hoped I would have had some reporting facility to look across the year, but I'm afraid without sitting and totting up everything for everybody, I wasn't able to pull off the stats. So I had hoped to give you some stats as to who the top sellers across the leaders and the consultant team across the year were, but unfortunately that functionality isn't there. But it would have been nice to be able to do that, but it would have been taken hours of trawling through previous ones. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to make that happen for you guys. There's two things I was hoping to cover tonight with you, and the first one of them is talking about culture, okay, and organizational culture. So if you consider us as a group, if you consider us as I guess as an organization really is any kind of group of people who come together for a similar purpose. And so I was just thinking about our culture, what kind of culture we have as a group, as the Spice Boys and Girls. Now I just stuck up a definition. Basically, it's about shared values and shared behaviours that contribute to our organisation, our environment. And that's quite annoying that I didn't change that Z to an S, because organisation is spelled with an S, not a Z. And also talks as well about, you know, what is our mission, what are we about, what is the vision, what are our shared values. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a video just now that I found. And while you're watching that, what I'd like you guys to do is think about what do you think are our values? What are the values of us collectively as the Spice Boys and Girls? So if you can have a think about that, and I really would like, just jot down a couple of words in your questions bit, you know, the way you have your questions panel. While you're watching this, I really would, this is kind of an interactive bit, so I really would welcome you. Just anything that comes to mind, you think, actually, this is what we're about. This is what our values are. I really would like to see it. So while we're doing that, I get to flick over here, and we get to play this little fella here. Okay, if I can move that out of the way.
Why it is so important.
Let's backtrack that. Okay. I take it you can all see this.
We're going to talk about something called team culture and why it is so important. Now, if you want to have a great and healthy organization, everyone needs to begin to get clarity on these four things: mission, vision, values, and strategy. And it'll take some time, but as you work through that and begin to understand that and articulate it and define it well for everybody, you can begin to move forward and be a great organization. But now it's time to talk about this thing called culture. And team culture is at the heart of your organization, and it answers the question, how do we actually do things? So good organizations understand their mission and their vision and their values and their strategic objectives, and you might have all of that clearly mapped out for everybody. But a great team, a great organization, is one where the culture matches up with all of those four things. In other words, what people are actually doing on a habitual, regular basis matches up with your mission, your vision, your values, and your strategic objectives. Now, the word for that is integrity. Integrity comes from the word for integer. Okay, it's integral. Integer is a number like 1 or 2 or 3. So if your organization or if your team has great integrity, it just means that everything is well nested, everything fits in. It looks like this picture here, where your mission and your values and your vision and your strategy and your culture, everything is neatly put together and it all lines up. You're doing what you're saying and you're saying what you're doing. You're practicing what you're preaching. But a team with poor integrity or a disintegrated team is a team where their culture begins moving outside of their mission, vision, values, and strategy. You get what's called mission drift or vision drift, where you're drifting away practically on an everyday basis. You're drifting away from what you say you're about. You're drifting away from what you have envisioned. You're drifting away from your strategic objectives. You're even drifting away from your values. And so what used to be an integrated team becomes this, a team with great disintegration, and so nobody knows the mission, vision, values. None of this is matching up anymore, and your team now is failing. And this is why it's critical for great teams to stop and evaluate, not just what is our mission, vision, values, and what are our strategic objectives, but what is our culture? What are we actually doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? What are our habits, individually and as an organization? Because that is what your culture is. What are we actually doing? And does it line up with what we say we want to be doing? Great teams aren't afraid to ask this question. Now go ahead and use the resources below. We've got some tools down there for you and your team to start processing this and beginning to understand how to truly become an integrated team where your culture matches up with your mission, vision, values, and strategy.
Okay. Right, so if I could ask you guys then, I take it you were able to see that, yeah? Good. Now, can I just point out, I don't think we are the team he was talking about, the disintegrated team, I don't believe we are. That just is something he was talking about. But because I think actually we're a pretty cohesive team. And I would like to hear what your thoughts are about, you know, what are our values, and just taking a chance to stop and think and say, what are we about? What do we stand for as the Spice Boys and Girls, and independent of everything else? I'm keen to hear what your thoughts are. So thank you for those of you who've just jotted down a few points here, and some of you have fed back already. But if I could ask the rest of you, you know, what are your thoughts? Please do jot them down. If you have any, I'm hoping you can see the little panel to on your top, what's that, right? That where you'll be able to pop in your question. It's a questions panel, but just pop that in. One of the things, while you're doing that, I want to share with you, because I'm a strong believer in values and having a sense of value. It's something I've known, I've kind of worked out for myself for years, and my key values have always been, there's been 5, and they've kind of underpinned everything. I hope I've exemplified them, but for me it's always been about kindness, about trust, loyalty, friendship, and my key one, which I think is important to me, and it's something I've led you guys with, and he talked about, is integrity. Okay, so I think it's really important to have integrity is really, really important. So thank you for those of you who've popped there. So Caroline has said passion, that we have a lot of passion, and I agree with you. I do. I think we have a lot of passion as a group, and that you just have to look at some of the conversation threads in the Facebook group. There's a lot of passion there, and there's a lot of people who have a real passion for food as well. There's a lot of foodies in the team. Also, as well said, helping each other, and Pauline has backed that up. She said we're a supportive team with great communication. I would very much agree with that. That is one of the things I have always tried to lead with, and I've always tried to encourage, is the fact that we all support one another. Although I might have been, in essence, the leader of the team, I think we're all in this together, and we all go out and do the job, and we all look to support one another. And I think that's fantastic, and I think that's one of the greatest things about the Spice Boys and Girls, and something I think we can hold our hat up and be very, very proud of. Verona saying teamworking. Yeah, without a doubt. I know that, like, Pauline leads her team, Verona leads her team, Susan leads her team, Anne-Marie and Fiona and the rest of the girls all lead their own teams. But collectively we come together as well, and we work together, so that we do have teams within the overall Spice Boys and Girls team. But it's fantastic how we all come together. So I think at this time of the year, when you stop and you reflect on the year gone by, I think we can all give ourselves a pat on the back and just acknowledge that we are a strong team. We are the strongest team in the UK. There's no doubt about that. We have, and we have a little shining thing here in my window. So to tell us we were, for, even though we only joined midway through the year, we got an award in August to say that we were, and we were such a strong team. And I think that's fantastic. I really do believe that. So if anybody else has any other comments they'd like to make, please, I would welcome them. One as well, belief in one another, I think, is important, and I think that's what we have done and shown one another, and the courage and the support and encouragement we have shown one another as well right across the team has been fantastic to see. And I'm surprised somebody hasn't put up one word here: fun. I do think we have a lot of fun in our team, and I think that's really important, because if you don't have fun, where's the crack in it all, really? And me, I like it to enjoy things. So our culture is, and it might be something worth thinking about afterwards if you want to. It's an unwritten, agreed ways of working. It's our shared values, it's our shared behaviours, and how we all pull together. So I just thought that might be a nice moment to stop it and have a think about that. The other thing as well I wanted to talk to you about tonight, and this is the one I'd hoped to have a speaker come and speak to you about, but unfortunately has fallen apart at the last minute, and that didn't work out the way I wanted to. But I wanted to talk about change. And we've been through a lot. It's been through a year of change. We've experienced a lot of change, and I know I'm just having a look here. Those of us that are on the call, many of us came from Pampered Chef towards the end of last year, and we've now this has had a full 12 months now with My Secret Kitchen. And change is always a funny thing. A lot of people don't like change, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with change. And change comes in many, many forms. When there's various things that change in your life, be it your own personal circumstances, your work circumstances, when you take on a new hobby, or you decide to join a new club, or whatever. And this is something, I remember the lady's name was Heather Harper, and she taught me this years and years ago, and I have always come back to this, what's known as this consciously competent grid. And I always come back to it because it really helps me understand where I'm at at a moment in time. So what, if you can see here, I hope you can all see the screen. Please raise your hand if you can't see my screen. So we all start off here as unconsciously incompetent. We don't know what we don't know. Okay, so at the point where before we even considered joining MSK, none of us knew anything about the products, none of any of us about the compensation plan, none of us. We knew nothing about it. We didn't know what we didn't know. But with anything that you start off with, you become consciously incompetent. Okay, and what that means is you're aware of the fact that there are things you didn't know, you don't know. You're aware of the fact that you don't have the knowledge. And the more time that you spend acquiring the knowledge, you eventually drift over here to this quadrant where it talks about being consciously competent, whereby, you know, if you were compared to yourself this time last year, or before you when you first joined up, some of you have joined during the year, and you were about to do, just before you started doing your first tasting, or the first time you went out and laid out your table, your MSK table, and thought, oh God, what am I going to do here, what am I going to say? So if you compare how you are now and how comfortable you are speaking about the products and the fact that you know what herb and garlic is good with, you know what your favorite balsamic vinegar is, you know how to use the olive oils. By the way, my husband did roasted parsnips with polenta and lime oil, and they were amazing. But anyway, that's by the way. And then you become consciously competent. So, you know, I know Pauline has done so many good, so many tabletops. Verona has done so many tastings, as has Susan. You know what to say, you know what to make, okay? And over time, the more you do these things, and it does take a while, is you eventually slip into what's known as unconsciously competent. So that a lot of people use the analogy there of driving. How many times have you gotten into a car and driven somewhere and thought to yourself, you know, I have no idea how I got here. But compare that to when you first started driving. You're going, right, okay, mirror, signal, maneuver, right, foot in the clutch, yeah, foot in the clutch, into second, right, okay, move it up to third, yeah. So, you know, so when you become unconsciously competent at something, that is where you are completely at ease with doing the task. Now, with any change, when you decide to change something in your life, be it personally, and I do mean this outside of MSK, this has helped me personally, not just from a work perspective. When you change anything, or something has changed for you and then you have to adapt, you either choose to go in here or you're thrown in here to this consciously incompetent bit again, where you have to change, where you have to adapt. This quadrant here is by far and away the most uncomfortable quadrant, there's no doubt about it, but be aware that this is the quadrant where you really do figure out what it is you want, where it is where you want to be. Because when you're in this grid, when you're in this quadrant, and you're aware of the fact that you don't know something and you need to change and you need to adapt, that is where the most personal growth comes from. So the people who grow within themselves, be it in a work situation, be it in a personal situation, they will move between consciously competent and consciously incompetent. Okay? Because at the top half of this grid, this is where personal growth comes from. If you spend too much time down here, okay, and unconsciously competent, you do become lackadaisical, you do become smug in your knowledge, you do become too, you know, you just do things, things just happen, and you're not actively striving to grow and to progress. And you can actually get to a point where you think, actually, oh, I know it all. Sorry, I put my phone on silent here. That you know it all, and that's not a good place to be, thinking you know everything. Okay, and again, I hope you don't mind, but I have a little video to illustrate a point. You like my videos tonight? I'm trying to be very multimedia.
Ah, yes, that nasty C word. There's one thing that I'm not comfortable with in life, and that's change. I just don't do well with it. Never have. Ever since I can remember, the night before a new school year started, diarrhea gut. I would always get so nervous that my stomach and bowels would revolt against me. I never grew out of it either. I still don't like change. And it's such a ridiculous thing. I mean, it shows change is everywhere. You have to be ready to accept it. I know this. And I try to force myself to accept it, but it's hard. There's so many different types of changes that you deal with, too. Some good, some not so good. I just want to be comfortable and keep the status quo. But you can't live your life stuck in a changeless rut. It just doesn't happen. I know that I would like to better myself, learn something new, and prove something about myself. And you know what? That requires changing something. change. Once I go through it, I'm usually okay. So why can't I psych myself out about dealing with change? What is this fear that's so deep within me? Has this fear been holding me back? Maybe I haven't done certain things because of the underlying fear of change. Maybe I've taken certain paths that are safer without even realizing it. Paths that lead me to a changeless life. I know, sounds boring. Maybe you are the type of person that looks forward to change, welcoming it with open arms. I envy you. I want to be in your shoes someday, looking at the face of change and saying, hey, bring it. But you know what? I think I'm slowly getting there. I realize that I have this problem, this fear of something different, and I'm ready to change that. Even that requires change. Are you looking at the face of change right now, but are scared to do something about it? I know I am. But you know what? We can all have some sort of comfort in knowing that we are in the same boat, together, all with diarrhea gut.
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys end up with diarrhea gut when you come to change, but I thought it was just a humorous way of illustrating a point. We've come through a lot of change this year. We've learned all about new situations. We've learned about new products, and we're going into a new year as well. And I wouldn't be truthful if I wasn't saying that it isn't quite how we would want it to be at this moment in time, and that is a shame. But change is inevitable, and it's how we adapt and how we approach the change that really is important. And I think change, for me, change is something that you always look to embrace, because change means growth and development. And like I said, just moving between the consciously incompetent to the consciously competent. So it is something that is part and parcel of life, really, and the pace of change is quite fast these days. But you can look at change and see it as an opportunity, or you can see it as almost like a threat in essence. So I just wanted to really just kind of talk to you about change, because what I'm going to finish up on was just to finish. It's coming up to 9 just now, but to let you know that after this call, I'm going to be sending an email into head office, and I'm sad to say, but I'm going to be resigning. So that's the change that would be part of my 2017, is that I'm going to focus on my postgraduate degree that I'm doing, and also to let you guys know that what I'm trying to do is put a system in place that will support you guys as well. So more on that as things evolve. But I really wanted to just take this time to say thank you to all of you that have dialed in tonight. Thank you to those of you that have really supported me as well over the last while. A particular thanks to Verona and to Pauline, who have been my left-hand goose and my right-hand goose, and I have to say from the Top Man reference. Without a doubt, I couldn't have done this without you guys. I will be taking myself off the team pages, but I will stay on Spice Boys and Girls and the Spice Leaders one for the next few weeks, just to make sure that I can make sure you're transitioned over. If anybody has any questions about this, or you'd like to speak to me about this, feel free to get in touch. It has been an absolute and utter honor to be your guys' leader over the last while. Some of you short time, some of you a lot longer, and I will stand true. You have my trust, you have my loyalty, and you have my friendship. I may not be your leader, but that remains true. And I'm sorry MSK hasn't worked out so far the way we wanted to. Who knows what 2017 brings, and I wish each and every one of you every success in no matter what, in MSK and in everything you do. So yeah, I have to, yeah, I'm not sure what else to say, but keep doing what you're doing. Those of you, I've spoken to some of you about getting reassigned to other people in the team so that you will have the support. And also as well, my good friend Nicola Patterson, I'm going to add her to the team page. She's over Northern Ireland, and she's another senior leader at the same level as me, and she's offered to step in on the page and offer some support to you guys as well. So please feel free to contact her, contact me, but my note of resignation will go in tonight, so I don't know how that's going to pan out. So thank you. Each and every one of you have contributed in various different ways. You've made me smile, you've made me laugh, you've made me proud more than anything. So it has been, like I said, an honour. So thank you very much. And on that note, I'll bid you all good night.